After the decisive victory on the banks of the Granicus River, Alexander firmly established his control over Asia Minor, taking possession of vast territories that had once belonged to the Persian Empire. The magnitude of this achievement did not go unnoticed by the local populations, who closely observed every move of the young Macedonian king. To consolidate his rule and project an image of continuity and stability, Alexander appointed the officer Calas as satrap of the region. The title of satrap had traditionally been used by the Persians to designate governors with broad administrative and military powers. By adopting this Persian administrative practice, Alexander intended to send a clear message that his conquest did not mean the destruction of existing structures, but rather the peaceful integration of these cities into his growing empire. Alexander's political strategy met with relative success. Many cities that had initially hesitated or remained loyal to Persian rule began opening their gates to the Macedonian army, choosing a peaceful transition instead of armed resistance. During his journey through Asia Minor, Alexander arrived in Ephesus, one of the richest and most culturally important cities in the region. There stood the grand Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. However, the temple had been destroyed by fire on the very day Alexander was born. Macedonian legends claimed that the goddess Artemis had turned her attention away in order to witness the birth of the man who would become the greatest conqueror of his age. Deeply moved by this tale and filled with sincere gratitude toward the goddess, Alexander publicly pledged to rebuild the temple, an act that further strengthened his acceptance among the local inhabitants. While most cities submitted peacefully, Miletus chose the path of armed resistance. The city's strategic location, with a highly defensible port that was vital to Persian naval operations, posed a direct threat to the future success of Alexander's campaign. If Miletus remained under Persian control, it could be used to launch surprise naval attacks along the entire coast of Asia Minor, placing the Macedonian army's supply lines and communications under constant threat. Understanding the strategic urgency of capturing Miletus, Alexander ordered the immediate siege of the city. Miletus resisted bravely, with determined and well-trained defenders, including a strong garrison of Greek mercenaries. These defenders, motivated by news of the earlier massacre of Greek mercenaries at the Battle of the Granicus, were prepared to fight to the end. To ensure the success of the siege and prevent Miletus from receiving reinforcements and supplies by sea, Alexander imposed a strict naval blockade on the city's harbor. Using his limited but strategically positioned fleet, the Macedonians tirelessly patrolled the waters around Miletus, intercepting any ships that tried to break the blockade. This measure effectively cut off Persian reinforcements and essential supplies, gradually weakening the city's defenses and playing a decisive role in its eventual fall. After intense days of siege, the Macedonians finally breached the city walls. The invasion was swift and effective, catching the defenders off guard and quickly breaking their organized resistance. Inside the city, the Greek mercenaries prepared for a desperate last stand, fully aware of the brutal fate suffered by their comrades in the previous battle. However, this time Alexander surprised everyone by taking an unexpectedly magnanimous stance. He offered generous terms to the Greek mercenaries, promising to spare their lives if they agreed to join his forces in the campaign against the Persians. Seeing a unique opportunity to survive and continue their military careers, the mercenaries readily accepted the conditions offered by Alexander. In another calculated move to ensure the goodwill of local cities, Alexander forbade his troops from looting Miletus, sparing the city and its inhabitants from further suffering. In exchange, he requested only a reasonable indemnity to cover the costs of the siege, a gesture that reinforced his reputation as a fair and merciful leader. Alexander's next strategic target was the important port city of Halicarnassus. This fortified city played a crucial role in maintaining Macedonian control over the coast of Asia Minor, and was vital to weakening Persian naval influence in the Aegean Sea. Alexander's main opponent in this battle was Memnon of Rhodes, an exceptionally talented Greek mercenary in the service of Persia. Memnon showed impressive strategic skill, organizing fierce resistance to the Macedonian siege, forcing Alexander to employ advanced and innovative siege technologies, including mobile towers, catapults, battering rams, and ballistae. The fighting in Halicarnassus was intense and bloody, raging through the streets and alleys of the city itself. Greek mercenaries defended the city with fierce determination, which led to a dramatic and singular confrontation between Greeks fighting on opposing sides. When the defenders saw defeat looming, they chose to set fire to much of the city, denying Alexander a fully intact victory and forcing him to capture a partially ruined city. Although defeated, Memnon managed to escape by sea, remaining a dangerous adversary. He continued to plan future attacks on Alexander's rear, showing that the campaign in Asia was far from over. Despite these land victories, the powerful Persian navy still posed a constant threat to Macedonian military operations. Aware of the limitations of his own naval power, Alexander made the difficult strategic decision to abandon immediate control of the Aegean Sea and concentrate all military efforts on land campaigns. However, to neutralize the Persian naval threat and secure his rear, Alexander devised a comprehensive plan to systematically conquer every coastal city along the Mediterranean, from Troy to Egypt. By doing so, he would ensure that no port could be used by the Persians as a naval base, effectively protecting his supply lines and allowing him to advance safely toward the heart of the Persian Empire. During this campaign, Alexander arrived in the city of Gordium, known throughout the region for its ancient and intriguing local prophecy. This prophecy claimed that the future ruler of all Asia would come to the city riding a humble ox cart. Its fulfillment occurred when the peasant Gordius entered the city in such a cart and was crowned king. In gratitude to Zeus for his unexpected rise, Gordius tied the cart to the temple of the supreme god with a complex knot, vowing that his descendants would rule as long as the knot remained intact. Generations later, with the Gordian line extinct, a new prophecy emerged declaring that whoever untied the knot would rule the world. Many had tried in vain to solve the knot's puzzle, until Alexander, aware of the prophecy and its importance, decided to take on the challenge. Alexander deeply understood the symbolic weight this challenge held for strengthening the Macedonian collective imagination. By confronting and solving the riddle of the Gordian Knot, he would reinforce the belief that his people were destined to achieve extraordinary conquests and widespread domination of the known world. This act would further boost the morale of his troops and solidify his image as a leader chosen by the gods, feeding the confidence and determination driving his campaign. After carefully studying the intricate weave of the knot, Alexander paused for a moment, feeling the weight of expectation from those watching his every move. With a determined expression, he drew his sword. In a bold and confident gesture, he sliced the knot in two. This act not only solved the riddle, but also sent a powerful message to all present, reinforcing his image as a practical, daring, and relentless leader when faced with seemingly unsolvable challenges. It demonstrated his belief that problems which appear impossible can be overcome with determination, creativity, and the courage to take paths others wouldn't dare.